Now, former IPID head Robert Mcbride has criticised interference attempts at the independent police watchdog. He claims former Police Minister Nathi Nhleko used dodgy reports to suspend senior Hawks officials. Anwar Dramat, Shadrach Sabia and Mcbride himself were all suspended. Erin Bates is following the story for us. She joins us now in studio. So, Erin, lots of focus on the former police minister.
Yes, we heard a lot of criticism of Nathi Nhleko, the former police minister, from Robert Mcbride today, and particularly an allegation that Nhleko confused where his responsibilities and authority ended and where the independence of IPID began. And Mcbride said this particularly in relation to his response to media reports on an investigation into these renditions, so-called, of Zimbabwean suspects. Mcbride says following some media coverage, he approached the Portfolio Committee in Parliament as the head of IPID because that portfolio committee, he's argued, was the right place for him to go and clarify some issues. And yet he was blocked from doing so by the police minister. And he's given us some more detail on why he says that happened. Let's take a listen.
The Parliament represents the people. IPID has to account to them. IPID is requesting to account to them if there are perceptions of any wrongdoing or misconduct. In any event, ultimately, it's Parliament that must decide, and we find that later out in the Constitutional Court pronouncement. But I'm not sure what is really unhappy with me obeying the law, following through the due process of accountability with separation of powers. He seems to misunderstand his authority and how it is undermined by me engaging with a people's parliament. And for me, I think it exhibits a bigger problem. And I'm not sure in a generous interpretation of paragraph 8. The minister did not understand the notion of independence of IPID. He did not understand where his authority begins and ends, and he didn't understand the issue of openness.
There was also a back and forth on various reports. What's the importance there?
Yes, and it was quite confusing at times, Shahan. There are several iterations of IPID reports and then a separate report which was put together by the law firm Werksmans after it was mandated to do so by Nhleko. And the deliberations over the different reports from IPID are important because Nhleko drew on these reports when instituting disciplinary action and suspending certain people from the Hawks. So there was a large chunk of this afternoon which was spent going through which reports were signed, when were they signed, by whom, was it a preliminary report, was it a final report, and so on. But just to give you a little more sense of that, let's take a look at some of the proceedings today.
According to the minister, he relied on an IPID report which could only have been the preliminary report.
Do you know whether the minister relied on at all on the signed report or the report signed by you as the final report?
There is no way he looked at it, otherwise he could not have suspended him on the grounds of that recommendation report, the final one which I had signed. Right. If he was concerned at all about the final report, and if he had somehow received the preliminary report, he could have called me in and indicated, I've read this report, the final one, which you've given me upon my request. I notice it differs with the other one. Kindly explain, since you provided me with this report.
And he did not do that?
He did not do that, sir.
Yes.
In fact, he never did that ever about the rendition issue.
He also had some words for the media.
He did, and I think this raises a pertinent question about reporting during this period that's been characterized as the period of suspected and alleged state capture. And Mcbride mentioned it specifically in relation to a Sunday Times scoop. And this scoop was based on a leaked copy of that Werksman's report, which looked into the rendition, so-called, of these Zimbabwean suspects, and then recommended certain charges against the likes of Anwar Dramat and Shadrach Sabia. And of course, the press is not beyond criticism. It's not beyond scrutiny. And here's Mcbride speaking to that issue.
There was a lot going on. There's a whole wiping out of the anti-corruption independent bodies. Surely some caution should have been exercised as to the way in which, firstly, the report was handled before it was leaked to the media. And for the media, in my view, the media should have asked whether this has been, before you've leaked it to me, has it been considered by the minister, this report? Whether, can you back up what has been said? Just that we're not dealing with, now, I know media likes a scoop, and it's good that we have a free media in this country. But you should have an alarm bells ringing when you see independent anti-corruption institutions being wiped out. Something should ask you to ask the question, what is happening? Where are you getting your leaks from and why? And where did you get your leaks from originally? Who leaked it to you? What was their agenda? We're in a free society. People use the media.
Such an exciting witness, isn't he?
Shahan. I think that's one of the more animated moments we saw from Mcbride today, just for the record.
Yeah, okay, so what's next?
So he continues. There's more from Robert Mcbride on Monday on IPID. There's a lot he hasn't yet gotten to. And then once he's concluded, we expect to hear from Johan Boysen, who was the former head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll be just as animated as Robert Mcbride. All right.